Hey, it is Thursday. It's Rumor Innuendo. I am Dominic D'Angelo of AdFreeShows.com, SEScoops.com, One True Sport TV as well. But I am here today with a long-standing colleague of mine, Mr. Kevin Kellam, back from the WrestleZone days, from the Windy City. Kevin, tell us a little bit about the audience, a little bit about you, and all that.
Good me. WrestleZone.
Yeah.
It's not. I got to work on it. I got to get it back. Yeah, I used to sing that multiple days a week. I'm all washed out. My cameras. I always have to reset my cameras before. There's never a Rumor and Innuendo episode, even me messing up the word Rumor and Innuendo, without some type of technical error. So I would hope that Mr. Karpelis is very happy that there is still some fumbling comedic foil within the magic of this daily assignment.
Well, let me tell you, if he's working with me, he knows that's going to happen.
No, Dominic, known you a long time. You and I have snored our way through a couple of hotel rooms at a wrestling convention and had a hell of a time.
Yes, 100% we have. And holy smokes, it's been quite a busy wrestling week when it comes to the news, especially WWE. We'll be covering that a great deal. We'll touch upon what happened on Dynamite. Nothing too crazy went down, but we'll preview a little bit about that. But hey, gotta welcome some friends here. Antonio Santos, happy Thursday. Didn't watch Dynamite yesterday. It's too hot for that. Hey, you have some bedfellows with that one, Antonio.
It's too hot.
It is.
It's everywhere across the United States, guys. It's like in the 90s. I know it's pretty gnarly with you in PA. It's been in the upper 80s, 90s all this week in Chicago. And now you can just kind of say that about anything.
Yes, it's just hot.
It's just too hot. It's just too hot.
Work. It's too hot to do anything. Travis Warler says, time for the Dynamites. That's right. Time for the Dynamites indeed. Stuart Green says, hey, everybody, let's make some noise for R&I. It sounded like a church at a funeral last night at AEW Dynamite at times. Holy smokes. It's kind of telling about where this company is headed or where it's been at recently. My family's pretty loud. Funerals aren't quite affairs, church or not, Mike Malaro says. So cool, guys. Let's get to it. Kevin, I had the Blue Meanie on yesterday. I had another old colleague of ours, Robert DeFelice, on Tuesday.
Oh, sweet Robert, yes.
Mm-hmm. But I really want to get everybody's thoughts and their impressions of what happened on Raw on Monday. I like everything.
We're still coming off of it.
Still coming off.
It's gotta be one of the biggest angles I think they've done in terms of a storyline thing, and I wouldn't call it a debut, but a return of some form, I guess you can put it, that people are really resonating with to some degree and caring about, and the casual fan really likes this, the diehard fan really likes this, and now the problem is the follow-up.
Yes. That is the follow-up. It is. It's. What do you think they need to do, Kevin, to kind of keep this thing churning and make all sense in the grand scheme of WWE right now?
Well, they have to have so many things that you liked about Bray Wyatt the first time, but you're doing it without him, and so that's hard. And they're using all of the smoke and mirrors and the wild amount of production you can have. And this is from me talking to people that were in WWE on the creative side of creating him. He is a writer's daydream. He is that. In terms of the WWE writers, when people say, "Oh, they shouldn't have writers, they shouldn't have people from outside," no, this is why you have those people for angles like that, for the way that was shot, the way that was done, the way that was done for months. There was a lot of time and effort put into how those teasers were written, and maybe they were changed over time as to when they were going to drop the needle and actually show you this thing. And you knew what it was if you were keen to it, and they weren't nearly as secret or as subversive as they were the first time, but it was certainly like, hey, we're coming. It was just how we're going to show you the teases is a little subversive. You know what we're doing. A lot of it is winking and nodding. The first time with Bray, it wasn't clear that it was Bray until maybe like the second or third clip, that you were going to get him. And WWE's done this cryptic stuff for well over 10 or 15 years. They've done it. They did it with Chris Jericho. They've done it with other people. They can do it better than other people can. Not to say that other people can't do this, but they just have this fan base that they can now drop these teases to. And they're doing it in terms of other storylines too, in terms of having little tiny things in the back.
Yeah.
People showed this to me. It went right over my head. I was watching Raw. They had Bray, or not Bray. I keep saying Bray. I'm sorry. Uncle Howdy. They had a silhouette of Uncle Howdy in the arena in front of a live crowd. casting a shadow from an entranceway. And some people think it was that. And like you got people looking at every quarter inch of a TV show, and it's a wrestling show. Now, some people say, oh, it distracts you from the wrestling. It's not about matches and this. It's a show. It's a show. You forget that this is a show with characters. And this kind of pay attention to everything, go find everything. It plays itself into digital media and the way that people watch the shows as a non-linear thing. It lends itself to the modern way we consume media, where people watch wrestling and then they go listen to a podcast about it, or they go to the internet about it. If they're a real diehard fan, even if they're just a diehard fan that's kind of like we call them those lapse fans that kind of come around for WrestleMania season. Right. They did note they did this right after WrestleMania. They did this when they thought fans would be coming back. So it's very, very calculated. This has Rob Fee is the guy they brought in a while back, a couple of years ago from Marvel Comics. He was big on Bray's comeback. You can certainly see that this is him. And for me, talking to people that were part of WWE, the pressure is on, though. The pressure is on because you can't have what happened with Bray and his comeback where it just didn't catch on and sadly Bray passed away, right? Yes. Where you couldn't really resurrect it. And you're doing it without him, and you're doing it with these different characters. And I've heard people that are in here that are certainly, experts on the matter. And I would love to hear Carpus. You haven't had Carpus on since.
No, not since this all happened and everything like that. I've gotten we've texted in a group chat with one another, so I get a little bit of his perspective on it. But
it's so well done, though. It's so well done.
Like I was telling Meanie yesterday, it's like I was really concerned when Nikki Cross crawled out. I was like, oh man, how is this gonna happen? Is this gonna get executed well?
She nailed the part.
Nailed it. She nailed it. And then the camera work nailed it afterwards, like leading everybody through. It was just, I was thoroughly impressed. And like, even after Raw ended, I stayed on like social media, like checking social media for like a couple hours because I was that enthralled. And usually I just go right to bed. So it's really telling about that. But yeah, they've laid a good groundwork on here. And Rob Fee, I think it was either his birthday today or yesterday. So what a way to celebrate this week for him is having that. And my goodness, it's just, yes, the issue is, and I'm going to be writing an article on SC Scoops regarding what I think of the whole development and how they can kind of make things forward. I think it's key, Kevin, that they, we're associated with Sister Abigail and Ramblin' Rabbit and Huskus Pig and Mercy the Buzzard.
Lore. The kids call it lore. I love how kids use this new word they discovered on the internet. Like it wasn't a word that existed.
Right. Lore. Give me the lore of Bray Wyatt. Like, I think that's a good surfacing, but you definitely need to have those masks removed, I think, when it comes to reintroducing these.
It's hard to wrestle with a giant beak on your face.
Right, agreed. So you got to kind of have that happen, and I think that will make them more tangible, and you have to really embrace the cult aspect of the original Wyatt family and in difference to like the Fiend and what he was capable of. So it's going to be a tough
come out. Mask stays on. The bell rings. The mask comes off. Get out of the ring. The mask goes back on.
Yes.
Like keep it in the gimmick as much as you can. But I mean, part of it was the gimmick was so entertaining with Bray. But then, what was the thing we heard? Then the bell rang, and then you have to beat this thing. And they beat the Fiend. When Goldberg beat the Fiend, people thought that was unacceptable because the Fiend just destroyed everyone. When Seth Rollins got out of a match with the Fiend, it was unacceptable. You have to find ways for this thing to be beaten. Yeah. So it has to be done in a way where you can't just have it destroy everyone, because then what's the point of that? And that was the problem with Bray before is they made it seem unbeatable. And then when it was beatable, people would get mad.
Yes. Yeah. Antonio Santos.
They had a good problem that became a really bad problem.
Yeah, it did. Here's a thing that Antonio Santos said. The big thing is Vince is not around anymore. So I have faith this will work. I think, the cuffs are kind of off when it comes to like what they were limited by.
Can I challenge that?
Yeah, challenge it. Go for
it. I think that's kind of a cop-out.
I can't.
And in terms of following WWE, I think it's really a cop-out. And this isn't me defending the person you mentioned there in any way. Because those are all ideas he helped bring to the table. And those are things that he helped say, like, no, this way. And dial it in here. And then when he got off the handle and things would be bad, his were more less focused, I guess, habits would get in the way and things like that. And it became more of a common critique of people within the wrestling business. Things would kind of change and stuff like that too. But those were also things that he was clearly a part of. This is a challenge for other people in WWE who were not in those top level executive positions. When the Bray Wyatt character was rolled out, when the Wyatt family was rolled out, when the Undertaker was there. But you have people like a Triple H who've been around these characters and have performed with these characters, where you have to do it a different way. And also, it isn't just the people performing the characters; it's the people performing with them. So you have to have a Chad Gable be able to have, all right, you're gonna have a blood on your head and you're gonna be blasted out, and we have to have you, whatever momentum you may have had is gone. We can't have him on TV next week. If we do have him on TV, he can't be looking like he's 100%, you know? Yeah. So like you got to have everyone else in line here. And my hope is if they kind of do on SmackDown what they did with the Bloodline, where it's a group that is intertwined with all these different people, and it's kind of adversarial. You're spending a lot of plates, but you're making the lines very clear. These people are against the Bloodline. These people are with the Bloodline. And there's some people in between. And there's that net of different interwoven storylines that make it feel very long-term payoff, right? There were a lot of things at WrestleMania that all paid off, that were connected with multiple players, not just Cody versus Roman. And if you can do that, and you can make Uncle Howdy, you make Bo Dallas, of all people. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I don't think a couple of years ago I was saying he was going to be one of the most talked about guys in the business. And now he is.
Yeah.
If you can make those things all kind of like balance with each other on Raw, and then you bring that to Netflix. That's what I'm thinking here. This is let's try and do some things at a greater level of depth in a way that we couldn't do before. And doing the subversive stuff, you can do a lot more of that on Netflix. You can do a lot more interrupting things. You can do, you'll have some ads, but you won't have the same type of ad break. So I do think this is something that we'll see a lot more of. And it'll be interesting. I'm going to be at SmackDown on Friday. I wonder how they're going to continue this, if they're just going to keep it on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I would really appreciate it if they did like kind of make it float over into SmackDown in certain ways. Just people be concerned for what's going to happen on SmackDown. Maybe nothing comes of it, but the fact that there's some caution going into on Friday, I think is
well. They were dropping the QR codes on SmackDown as well. It wasn't like
So I would like to get like Nick Aldis's thoughts on what happened or something like that. Just Cody as a champion, get his thoughts. Like, you want to make this kind of an all-encompassing thing, but obviously, I'm sure you probably read the report that Fightful said that they're being selective about it's not going to be everybody on Raw is going to be involved with something like this. They're not going to, the Wyatt Six is not going to be a part of everything. So if you make it a selective thing, you can definitely kind of slow build this out for over the course of time and make this get to a bigger crescendo at some point, whether that's
I think they're in War Games.
Yeah. See that one, what a great way to do that too, huh?
Yeah. I like when I saw all of them together, I was like, well, there's boom, 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 boom. Maybe you had one more person, you know, and you put that in War Games and War Games, that's their Survivor Series. That's a big cage match. You got to have an adversarial group. And it's certainly interesting. They got you intrigued, but now they got to pay it off and they got to put it in the ring and make these guys feel like dominating forces. But at some point, maybe they can be outsmarted or something like that too. And like, that's doable. That's doable, and it's good for everyone involved. This Nikki Cross can play a creepy character. She's been playing something like this for a long, long time. But all these fans saying that she needed to be part of the Wyatt thing years ago, right? Well, she is, And you have Dexter Lumis playing a creepy guy. All right, tonally, he can knock this out of the park. Eric Rowan did it the first round. Bo Dallas, his brother, is it? So you're going to have him cut promos too.
Yeah, that's good. That's the big thing. I think we've seen Bo can go in the ring, and you need that in this group. You definitely need somebody like that. But I almost think, do you think there will be a sixth member, or is Bray the omnipresent six figure?
That's what I've heard people say, that Bray is just the omnipresence, that he's around it all the time, or his spirit is a part of it. How far can you go with that? Are you going to pull out I've already heard people say pull out the hologram and stuff like that. And I guess with anyone else that would be disrespectful. But this is the Swamp Wizard of WWE, and like, they literally had him use holograms and bring demons into children and like just all these over the top things. But it was Bray Wyatt, and he made everyone raise their cell phones and call them fireflies. Like he was so playful and embraced it that you didn't think of it as outlandish. I was like, oh, that completely makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, if I had to venture a guess, I am going to go out on a limb and say that there will be a sixth member. I think Bray, the fact that they call it the Wyatt Six kind of already pays homage to Bray. And when you get a sixth member, you kind of build that tease, almost kind of like, hey, who's the third man kind of deal. And you want a little bit of that intrigue too when it comes to this more unpredictability.
Well, we all know who the third man is, brother.
It's Mabel, man. We all know that.
Hulk Hogan's coming down here. Who's he with? Who's he with? Remember Bobby Heenan? Like, whose side is he on?
Yes.
Like on somebody.
Well, let me get your perspective too before we talk a little Dynamite. And I got Meanie's perspective on this. Seth Rollins being back, and then in the terms of Damian Priest, the dynamic of the Judgment Day, what he's been as a champion, and what you think their game plan is with him, I guess, moving forward as they go to Money in the Bank. He's already putting that title on the line there. So
right back in the title mix, right back in the mix. And it's an interesting spot for Seth to be in. I wouldn't call it a hard reboot because he went through so much stuff at WrestleMania. He dropped the title, took the chair shot, was a part of the big angle for the title change the next night with Cody and Roman. It was called the MVP of the weekend by the Rock, and that's the Rock who's probably bringing a lot of eyeballs to it. But he's calling this guy that's a lot, and let's hope he's healthy. A lot of knee injuries for him. Those have stacked up, but you're not seeing him wrestle at a level or move at a level that seems any bit slower. No. Even when he was hurt, which was nuts. But he was able to get through that weekend. They didn't. He was able to get through it. And it'll be interesting to see how they utilize him at this state in this group. But he signed a new deal. He's going to be with them for a couple more years. I think we get some new characters from Seth in this next 2 years. I don't know if we get a new character from right away. They kind of call that like he moved into the Seth freaking Rollins thing. That wasn't just something he did one day. It kind of slowly progressed into that. And then the visionary, the architect stuff, like those were all different chunks of his career. I don't know what the next Madonna evolution of Seth Rollins is going to be, but we'll get one. Mm-hmm. I think we're still in the Seth freaking Rollins days. Wow. Yeah. We're going to get more of that. And I think that's fun, and the crowd likes it, and they sing along with it, and they're on board with it. There's nothing wrong with that. So, but does that mean he takes the title off Damian Priest? Something makes me think Damian Priest is not keeping this title.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm on the other side. I think this will be the big win that Damian gets as a champion and kind of establish
clean
star, possibly clean. I think I'd be okay with him being clean.
Has he had a clean defense?
No, he hasn't, and that's what I mean. I think you really and Damian's had a chip on his shoulder about this. Like you saw it at the press conference, and you see it in storytelling, like how
you didn't win the title clean. You didn't win Money in the Bank. Like everyone does that, right?
You didn't win the title clean, and then obviously what just happened this past weekend at Clash at the Castle. So it's like there's this contingency that he's like this transitional champion. You don't want that. I think they have a lot of faith in Damian on what moving forward and what he can do for the company as a babyface or a heel. And I think him getting a clean win against Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, boom, establishes him that. And I think Seth is kind of still Teflon, even despite what happened over WrestleMania weekend with him. So
yeah. But also I do want people to step away from my favorites or what's going on for my guy or what's good for my guy and my gal or what's bad for him. If you're a good transitional champion, you're a good player.
Exactly.
You're just like what Seth was at WrestleMania, where it's like, I'm here to get the title here. I'm hurt. I'm going to get the title on somebody. I'm going to get through this match. I'm going to be a part of this big angle. I'm going to use my character's credibility to get somebody else over and move this thing down the line. Yes. And so if Damian can do that, as he's done with Judgment Day, they've been the mechanics of Raw in terms of getting things over and getting heat and working. How many segments are they in every week? Yeah. They have at least 3 segments backstage, 2 different matches they're involved with. They're involved sometimes in the opening and closing of Monday Night Raw for over a year and a half. Are they the most over faction of all time? I'm not claiming that. But are they the most productive one for WWE next to the Bloodline? Yeah. And you can't do that with the Wyatt Six because you just overexpose them. Right,
exactly.
Their mystery and you don't see us and now you do and now we're gone. You You can't have the Undertaker on 5-6 times in a show.
You can't know.
Judgment Day, we wear purple and black, and we're goons. And we're bad dudes, and we run around, we beat people up. We're the nasty boys. We're the NWO. We're third modern spin on that. So I'm hopeful that Damian Priest is fine with this, but I'm not thinking it's a bad deal. Seth Rollins goes into SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio with that belt around him. You can't tell me it's a bad idea.
Not a bad idea, but I think you're A-okay if it's Damian and Gunther too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yes.
But hey, you know what? You guys want to get nasty in the bedroom. Let's talk about Blue Chew. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex.
Give him the hard sell, Dom. Give him the hard sell.
Here it comes, Kevin. You ready? Guys, remember the days where you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew's unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, and you can plan ahead and be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up for BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Hey, the best part about it, it's all done online, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the US of A, and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. You can be missing out on the best sex of your life. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover their options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free whenever you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout and just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And hey, guess what? We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. So, all right, guys, chew it and do it. Okay. So, Kev, the table is getting set for Forbidden Door. Dynamite went down last night. We had one of those I hate them, eliminator matches.
Why do you hate the eliminator match?
You know what? Because nobody ever wins them. It's like, yeah, okay, here they are. And this is like, and that was the worst thing too, when WWE used to do that, like kind of number one contender. You have to earn the right to get the title shot. That was just awful. And the fact is,
what earning title shots is awful?
Because you're having a match already that you want to see go on later on.
Oh, you're saying like the champion takes on a guy, and if he loses the guy, they have to pay. They did that a handful of times in the 90s, but I think it was mainly because the roster was thin.
Sure.
And they just needed big matches on TV.
But this whole notion of these eliminator matches, they became predictable. Well, last night, actually, they claimed one, but that was kind of predictable because I thought that Young Bucks needed a feud with these guys. And it's been, I don't know. Are you picking up what they're laying down for Forbidden Door? It seems like kind of a stale concept at this juncture when you look at what WWE's been doing with NXT and Noah. But I want to get your perspective, Kev.
I think it'll still be a really good show. I don't think AEW's put out bad pay-per-views, but they feel like WWE in like 2020, like 19-ish.
That's not good.
Where WWE was putting out, for the most part, they were putting out good pay-per-views. And they were having great matches once you got to the table and you fired up the WWE network and you got to watch it and it was good. But the week-to-week TV getting there was spotty. Something would be hot, something would be cold, whereas this, I kind of feel the same thing. Like there's some stuff that's clicking and some stuff that isn't. And I know I just don't want people to think, oh, you hate AEW. No, I do. I just think they need to evolve. They need to evolve in their overall ability to tell stories and do things and have it not feel play by numbers. And you don't. I mean, I'm not saying it's predictable, because predictable I don't think is. This is me as a 41-year-old man. I think people in their 20s have now been conditioned to swerve, shock me, get me. But that doesn't always work, and that was the problem with WWE when they just started doing swerves for the sake of swerving. And I think there's times when AEW does that, and I was just like, no, stick with the thing you were doing, keep it hot, trust the people you have. Reel them in. Don't let them indulge. You have too many people that indulge. And there's just all these different, just loose ends that I see with it. And then on top of it, it's like, well, they could use a surprise here and there, you know, like it makes it easier to like kind of go down that route. What, you know, and they have some exciting stuff, but I just feel like, oh man, you know, I don't know if enough of their top hands are being treated the right way. And you know, things that should feel bigger are not. And there's other things outside of the ring that I think are starting to affect the TV show in a big way.
I agree. And I think, you know, AEW kind of used to have that identity of appointment television. And now I think they've lost it over the years. And even back when we were both at WrestleZone, me and you would do shows together, and you would be the defender of WWE. I would try to defend AEW.
I wouldn't be the defender of WWE. I would be the defender of a non-biased, like, let's just give them the world and they're the best.
Yeah, but I would go after WWE sometimes.
Yes, you would. And you go after WWE more than I would.
Yes, exactly. And so there was that kind of dynamic, but now it's frustrating because I was optimistic for what AEW could do.
Oh, it's almost like it took a couple years for you to come back, Tom.
You know what? It did, Kevin. Real quick before we close out,
I've been watching the show.
Before we close out, there also has been the scuttlebutt about the possibility of Shane McMahon going to AEW. How do you think he would fit in there? And would that be a right move by AEW?
Is this real?
It's been talked about on JR, and there's been.
I know, but this is just a speculative thing that just snowballed, right?
You know, it's Thursday, and I'm really hot. It's hot, Robert, Kevin. Jeez, it's hot.
I can't say too much. It's just too hot.
It's just too hot. So, yes. Would you like Shane McMahon in AEW, Kev?
It'd be interesting. Mm-hmm. You can't deny that would be intriguing.
Yep.
And people would be booing him because he's from WWE, and he literally is WWE. He's McMahon.
Yep.
He's a person who's wealthy and established and famous because he was in WWE. But he isn't just he was in WWE. He was WWE. And now WWE is owned by other people, and maybe some people could say it's less of a McMahon property or whatever, which it never will be. It always will be. But he's the ultimate villain, right? He walks in there, and if the initial reaction is, wow, cool. But no, F that guy. F him. He's from over there, right? And then you're starting to lean into that us versus them type thing. And I think in a more distinct way, because you actually have a payoff. Mm-hmm. You know, all this like little, they make a headline because they said something about WWE. What's the payoff? You know what I mean? Like let's show CM Punk in the security footage, but no match with CM Punk to pay this off. Will Ospreay says something about Triple H. Not getting a Triple H versus Will Ospreay match. No payoff. Don't tease. It was you know, like when WCW would do this stuff, eventually they would still keep that character hot and go with it or roll with it into something else. It was, no, let's just say something. I'm Tony Khan. I'm sick of this shit. I'm not going to take it anymore. You know, like it always comes off like, oh no, it comes off like you want to root for the nerd who's being bullied, but then they just go and do something really nerdy,
something stupid, really nerdy. But I think
there's some pivots they're doing. They're doing the stuff they're doing where they're going to tape shows in Texas and not try and tour too much with it and keep it in one place is smart. Yeah. They announced WrestleNomics announcing yesterday they're going to go overseas and do some shows in Cardiff in the UK where they've never been, and maybe there'll be more of a novelty factor. You saw TNA do that. Yeah. They went over, and when they had some tough times here in the States, went over there and they went in front of some big crowds. I can tell you, you know, they've sold some more tickets for this Collision show coming up this weekend. You know, everyone talks about the ticket rates. I'm scrolling up through the Russell ticks, and it's pretty good. You know, it isn't all bad. I can tell you in Chicago, though, run here July 3rd. It's not good.
Not good. Yeah. It is going to be, I think Shane McMahon's in a unique position that he is such a last name figure associated with pro wrestling and that if they bring him in, you can
he would get WWE fans to check it out.
You could kind of ride that momentum. You'd have to position him in the right way. Not necessarily that I have a lot of confidence in them to do that, but it would be interesting. But what's been interesting is having Kevin Kellam on Rumor and Innuendo.
Right, we got that 30-minute time limit. We got to get out.
That's it. Kev, what have you been up to? Tell the world.
Well, I've been chewing it and doing it. And
promo code.
No, I'm pretty busy. I'm doing a lot of different things for Sportskeeda at the moment. If you're a Snapchat person, I just launched a bunch of different channels with them. I cover golf, I cover basketball, I cover weird, unexplained things. So if you're a Snapchat person, go look up all the different stuff there. I'll drop those on my Twitter. You can follow me at Kev Kellam, KevKellam. Rings and Rambles is the show I do for them every Monday on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel, and I'm all over that YouTube channel. We just cracked 140,000 subscribers.
Yes.
It's really, really great. We just did some big videos. We did a Wyatt 6 video breaking down like, all right, here's why this is special, but here's why they gotta keep it going. So if you like that conversation, we do big breakdowns. I did a big video about Gorgeous George, which I was really, really happy about, and about how influential he was. That came out a few weeks ago. And then we just kind of do like these deep dives, kind of essay formats into different things. And then WrestleBinge is our channel where we have Vince Russo every week with Monday Night Raw. He'll cover that. We have Dutch Mantel every single week. We have Bill Apter, beloved sweet Billy, sweet Willie, Teddy Long, a bunch of different characters on there. Big interviews as well. I just interviewed Campaign Singh from TNA Wrestling, so that'll be dropping out soon. I haven't interviewed John Ryman, former WWE writer. I got to talk to him about the Wyatt 6 thing. We taped that a couple weeks ago. And I'm pretty busy. And then I'm doing stuff with Q101, Chicago Alternative Rock Radio. We're busy with that. Lollapalooza isn't that far away. I'm not done. I'm not done with all my promo things. Roast Battle Chicago. That is the mean insult comedy show that I'm one of the producers of. Tonight, we will be at Zany's, an epic title match. We have a Patreon. If you like our stuff, you can go subscribe to it for $5 and see hours and hours and hours of stuff. The funniest $5 you'll ever spend. Go do it.
Do it. Chew it and do it, guys.
If you can remember the 19 things I just promoted in 45 seconds.
Don't worry. I know our avid listeners here. They just tune in several times after they're done watching.
Go check out, if you're on YouTube, go check out the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. We do a live Monday show. I want to do more of them.
Absolutely. And guys, tonight, if you're around, RVD, me and him, 9 o'clock, RVDTV.com, RVD's YouTube channel, and OneTrueSportTV.com. We're all going to be live on board, so tune into that. Tune in at 6:15 p.m. too, as well. Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, Greg Gagne. We're going live then too.
Full night for you.
It's a full night. It's FourHorsemenNetwork.com and OneTrueSportTV.com as well. You can check those babies out. It's going to be a fun one. We always have a blast there. This is always a blast here, guys. You can check out Rumor and Innuendo on Working Stiff YouTube, on Rumor and Innuendo YouTube, on Ad Free Shows YouTube, on SC Scoops X, on Working Stiff X, on Robert W Creative _ish X, on my X, on Podcast Heats X.
Shout out Working Stiff. Love it.
Is great.
Love the podcast.
We're recording this episode right now.
Oh man, we'll love that podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dan St. Germain. Shout out. Shout him out.
Shout him out. Shout him out.
Can we see those gunboats, Dom? I've seen those game pictures. Look at that.
The thirst traps, man.
Thirst traps. Look at that. Look at speaking of the traps, look at them shoulders coming out.
Hey,
filling out that suit.
Gotta do what you can. Gotta do what you. It's
filling out that. We got ourselves a buzzsaw right here. We got.
That's it. Hey guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Robert's gonna be back on Rumor and Innuendo. Good luck in your future endeavors.